The preparations are over. It's time to go racing at the 33rd Annual ARCA 200 at Daytona. We welcome you live to the World Center of Racing as ESPN begins its stock car race coverage for 1996. We've come full circle. Tuesday, the garage area was silent. There have been a lot of things happen in the ARCA garage since then, but once again, it is silent. Here's Bill Weber.
Well, Bob, for the last 4 days, this has been the home for the ARCA cars, crews, their sponsors, and of course their drivers. It has been a blur of activity. Teams trying to find that fragile balance between speed and setup and being ever so cautious of that razor-sharp line between success and failure. For those that have succeeded and found the formula, today they start near the front of the field. For those that have failed, well, they've headed home. They've loaded up, and today they watch with us on ESPN. For those in between, now perhaps their biggest challenge. Can they match the muscle of those that outclass them in qualifying? And can they tackle this tough 2.5-mile track for 200 miles here at Daytona? There are big names and no names in this field. Several questions that will be answered in the next 80 laps.
And, Bill, this is a Super Bowl indeed for ARCA drivers. 46 came to Daytona. 42 will start today. Their goal, 80 laps here on the high banks for $185,000. As you look back across the field, the cars being brought out from the garage area. They will come out one by one. They've been gridded back in the garage and brought to bear. Take a look at some of the drivers. Rows 6 to the front, each one Ford and one Chevrolet. Harris Devane here, car number 33, 1995 co-rookie of the year, came within a hiccup of winning at Talladega, ran out of gas just coming out of turn 4. In front of him, the 1993 winner of this race, Jeff Purvis. Watch for him to be very, very strong. And across from Purvis, last year's pole sitter, Bob Shack, in a Ford Thunderbird, the same car, the same engine. Shack was quick in practice, stumbled a little bit in qualifying, had a motor problem, but he is back full bore and ready today. And we back up on the front row. The young man who was the hottest commodity at the end of 1995, Tim Steele, the 1993 Series champion, won 3 in a row, Winchester, Salem, and the finale on ESPN at Atlanta. He will be strong and on the pole. He's a rookie driver in ARCA competition, but no name you're not going to forget for a long time. He's the Touring Series champion of the Truck Series, the Super Truck Series for NASCAR. Mike Skinner, his first ARCA start at Daytona. Yes, it is the car number 3, and yes, it's on the pole. And once again, yes, it is owned by Richard Childress. So many ingredients, so many names up front, and so much competition about to come your way.
Jerry is down there amongst 42 cars and drivers set to do battle for 80 laps here this afternoon. It's an experienced field, but yet there are 9 drivers in the field that are 25 years of age or under. But there are also veterans set to do battle, and there is perhaps nobody that can tell you about how important this race is for careers than a guy who won here and, in fact, came up to Major League stock car racing through the ARCA ranks, Benny Parsons.
Well, thank you very much, Bob. In 1965, folks, I came here for the first time. Didn't have a clue what I was doing, and finished third, actually. 1968, I crashed because I had no idea. In 1969, I won this race. It was a 300-mile race then. And in 1970, I probably learned the most valuable lesson I ever learned in stock car racing. The right front tire was going flat. I thought that the chassis was just off on the car. I kept driving it. I blew the right front tire, almost knocked the wall down. The next time I had a right front tire go flat, I knew exactly what to do. That's go in the pits and fix that problem. So you're not going to learn everything today. I think most of those young drivers today are just awed by being here. I mean, this is, after all, Daytona, the birthplace of speed. This is where you make your reputation. This is where you become a race car driver. They'll go back home. They'll think about it. They'll learn something that second and third time here.
A few butterflies maybe down there?
Oh, man, don't you know they are? Because, again, folks, this is the place. I remember when I crashed in 1968. I came off the corner. I had a very fast race car, but I had some tire problems. I came off turn 4, and the car turned sideways, and I turned it back to the right. And as it came back and was going straight ahead, the thought flashed through my mind, golly, I hope the cameras are rolling because I'm a star. Did you say I just saved this car? It never stopped going right in the wall head on.
And you didn't knock it down, did you?
Well, I didn't knock the wall down that time. I waited till 1970 to do that. So, again, yeah, this place is something else. It's fast, and there's so much to learn at this racetrack. They're not going to learn it all today. Yep. It's going to be just a start.
We've been following a story all week regarding Shane Doles, who crashed just after the practice period started here on Wednesday. They have been working feverishly trying to get that car in the race. They are in the race, and we will have an update on it when we return to the ARCA 200 at Daytona International Speedway. ESPN's Speed World coverage of the ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde 200 is being brought to you by TM8 engine treatment from Valvoline, because driving is more stop than go. By the more than 1,225 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And by Suzuki. Your Suzuki motorcycle and ATV dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. Driver introductions are going on here at Daytona. The Busch Clash was run just a few minutes ago, won by Dale Jarrett, and now the ARCA cars are on the grid. Well, let's get the update on the story we've been following all week from Bill Weber, that of Shane Doles.
And Bob, as we all know by now, what an emotional roller coaster Shane Doles and his entire team have been on. There's the empty garage where most of the work has been done this week. But some of the work on their motor was actually done in their hotel room. It all began on Wednesday when he brushed the wall. The only problem here at Daytona, you really can't brush the wall. And here is his story.
So it's our first wall banger of the whole week.
Just going in the corner and fixing to do the last plug check of the day, and got right in the middle of the corner and blew the right front tire out. It went straight in the wall, and I tried to turn it right and keep it out, you know, spin it out, but it wouldn't go.
Just calling all mechanics in Gray, Georgia to go to the Shane Doles garage.
These guys had all kinds of damage. We thought they were going to go back and get their backup car, but I talked to Shane a little bit before we came on the air. He said, nah. He said, we're going to fix it, and we're going to go racing here at Daytona.
Mainly what we got to do now is body work. We got the engine out and checked everything out on it. It seems to be okay. I said we got the frame straight, so it's time to do a little body work.
Now, they won't get many points for artistic impression. It's, well, it's got a lot of yellow tape and some red numbers, and it looks good. And this is Lynn Turner, and you're the owner of Chevy's Cafe. You're about ready for this New York Stock Exchange with all the exposure you've been getting the last few days.
Yeah, so we feel like something ought to come about on this. You know, something ought to come about. We feel like Shane can get it rolling. We ought to be able to get on up there.
Benny says he can tell by your physical appearance you really run a great cafe.
Thank you. Thank you, Benny.
Look who's coming out.
Shane Doles, the Chevy Cafe.
And the work continues, and you've done some Bondo work on that automobile.
Yeah, the tape job they didn't like that a whole lot, so now we're in the Bondo process. We got it all wiped down. It's kind of crude, but it's all we can do for right now. And then we'll come in the morning and try to get it ground down. Took the motor out and took it back to the motel with us, try to get that leak stopped up, and come get it stuffed back in there in the morning and be back on the racetrack at 8:30. Well, we're glad they're sponsoring this deal right now, I guarantee you. I don't know if we can afford the tire bill or the Bondo bill right now.
Look this way, right here.
We need the TV time. This ain't really how we want to get it.
And they worked late into the evening to get this car ready. 6:30, 7 o'clock last night, Bondo and paint. Today, this car sits on pit road, and Shane will start today's ARCA 200. And you told me earlier in the week, you're going to fix this car, you're going to go racing, and that's exactly what you're going to do today. How do you feel?
Well, we feel good. You know, we went out testing yesterday afternoon, and the car wasn't quite as fast as it was before, but it's close enough to get us in where we're at, and we're going to go out and ride and see how it is, and then start charge to the front.
I was told earlier just about everyone in Gray, Georgia is tuned into this right now. How does that make you feel?
That's great. I hope everybody's at home pulling for us. I think we're going to need it, but I hope everybody will keep us in mind and keep pulling for us.
Your strategy here, Shane, obviously your car has been through a lot.
Yeah, it's been through a lot. The car did good yesterday. Like I said, it drove good. It was a little slower than we had anticipated, but I hope everything will pan out here. We made some changes for the race, and, we hope it'll be fast. Just going to try to get in the draft and ride to the front.
Okay, we'll get to ride along with him because he'll have a roof cam. He had 4 starts last year, a 6th and a 9th place finish. He'll turn 30 in 2 weeks. Maybe an early birthday present today for Shane Doles. We'll see, guys, back up top.
Joining us in the booth today is Kyle Petty, the driver in the Winston Cup division, the driver of the Coors Light Pontiac. And Kyle, you ran your first race ever was the ARCA 200, was it?
First race ever right here at Daytona. I'm betting 1,000% on this thing. I've run 1 ARCA race in my career. It was Daytona, and thank God everybody said their prayers. I made it through it and ended up winning it and never run again.
Folks, he won his very first race. What did you learn that day?
That I wasn't a race car driver is basically what it amounts to, because I went straight from here and thought I knew how to drive a race car, thought I knew a lot about it, and Shane's car didn't look anything. It looked a lot better than the car I wiped out the next race I went to. Let me just say that.
Have you been? So you've been through exactly what Shane Doles has been going through.
You know, anybody that's ever driven a race car or worked on a race car has spread Bondo at 11:30 or 12 o'clock at night and spray bombed the race car to get it back out to the racetrack, and that's just part of racing. You know, if you want to do it and you have the desire to do it like he does, obviously, then you're going to beg, borrow, and steal to get to the racetrack.
I just told the folks a little bit ago, Kyle, that it takes 3 or 4 races here before the driver can learn as much as he needs to learn. You agree with that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I came here and won the ARCA race. They just repaved the racetrack. Goodyear just came with a brand new tire that was a great tire. You could drive anywhere on the racetrack you wanted to. We were running about 191 or 92 in a Chrysler and an old Dodge that my father gave me. Came back for the July race and run head-on in the wall coming out of 2 over there. It took me about another 3 or 4 years until I could run competitive with the Winston Cup guys. And it takes that long to learn where the bumps are, to learn how to come off the corner, and to learn not to do what Strader did going in turn 1 during a bush race on the high side, 4 or 5 wide down there.
Oh, you wouldn't want to do that?
Never. You got to be a dirt driver to do that.
And you never tried? This was his first race, a 2.5-mile race. You didn't try the dirt?
I didn't do the dirt.
But we've got guys today who's never driven on asphalt, just on dirt, and they're in this race at Daytona today. Bob?
More pre-race activity coming up prior to the start of the ARCA 200 with a huge crowd on hand here at Daytona International Speedway. We'll take a break and be right back with more. Welcome back to Daytona as we get set for live coverage here on ESPN of the ARCA 200. And coming up right after our coverage of this event on ESPN, Davis Cup Tennis from Carlsbad, California. Michael Chang for the U.S. takes on Alejandro Hernandez from Mexico. And coming up on the Deuce right after our show is completed, it'll be NASCAR today. Down on the grid, we have Jerry Punch, who's standing by with the defending race winner.
And Bob, he's also the series champion for 1995. Talking about Andy Hillenberg, the ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde series champion. And Andy, a year ago today, your career took a drastic change when you made the left-hand turn into victory lane.
Yeah, it did, Jerry. That last left-hand turn there sure had a big effect on my career, pulling into victory lane. And this race has never been won twice in a row, and maybe this might be the day.
Well, it was an emotional victory lane. We're going to wish you good luck starting 5th today.
Thank you. We're going to try to get this AC Delco car up front.
Let's see if we can go talk to some other drivers starting toward the front. We move over here, and now Bob Shack is a guy, remember, who sat on the pole last year, but on the last practice session damaged his car. No such damage here in 1996, and Bob Shack, you don't have to worry about a bruised fender this year. It's all going to be polished and spit and ready for that green flag.
Well, I hope so. I'll tell you what, we're really looking for a good race here. The car is good. Motor's good. After that qualifying deal, it kind of scared us a little bit, but we're looking at taking this Taco Bell car right to the front.
Hey, best of luck to you. Have a safe.
Thanks.
Bob Shack starts 3rd. Now, the guy he starts behind, they're just buttoning it up here. We're talking about Mike Skinner, Richard Childress' own car, Chevrolet Monte Carlo, on the pole, a rookie in ARCA competition. This young man was the hottest thing in Atlanta last year, set on the pole, dominated the race, and Mike, I know you probably talked to some of the other guys in the organization here, one Dale Earnhardt, about what to do here at Daytona, but what are your thoughts about the start?
Well, I'm really excited about it. This car's been real stable all week. Tim and I went out, we did some practice and drafting each other up close, and Andy and Bob and some of us. So I think, the front draft's going to be pretty safe, and what we're going to try to do is get to the end of the race and then race the heck out of each other. I just want to thank, Racing for Kids, Dale and Jeff, for getting involved with that deal, Racing Champions and All-American Race Car Museums for coming aboard this deal, and Danny Lawrence with Fearless Factory in Winston-Salem.
That's Mike Skinner. He'll start. This is an R&D car. A lot of things on this race car. Research and development is what R&D means for Richard Childress Racing that could help their efforts come a week from today in the Daytona 500. Let's check in back with some lesser-known names where Bill Weber is standing by. Bill?
Well, you mentioned how Andy Hillenberg's career took a major turn here 1 year ago. Here's a man hoping for a similar story. This is 25-year-old Darrell Lanigan. He qualified 13th. Pretty impressive, especially when you consider it's your first trip here, your first race on asphalt. Is that correct, Darrell?
That's right.
How do you feel right now?
The car's pretty good. We did a lot of testing the other day in the draft, and the car really handled pretty good. So I think if everything goes well and we stay clean, I think we'll be up front at the end.
Have you been able to talk to some of the other drivers to get some experience through their years here?
Yeah, I talked to a few of the different ones. Loy Allen's helped me spotting right now, so that's going to help a bunch. And Rodney's down there. He's helped me. Rodney Combs, he's helped me some. So it's all going to pay off, I think.
Have a great ride. One thing about Darrell, he's kind of taken some laps around here. He got an in-car camera tape from Ernie Irvin's crew, and for hours he sat here and watched that 28 car circle the track and circle the track. He thinks he knows this place pretty well. We're about to find out. Let's go back up near the head of the grid to Dr. Punch.
And Bill, outside the front row, the young man who won the 1993 Series Championship, Tim Steele. And Tim, you were the hottest thing at the end of last year, 3 in a row. If you could win today, you'd be in a very, very small group of 4 people in the history of the series to win 4 consecutive races. Can you do it?
Yeah, I think so. You know, this HSI Simlink Ford Thunderbird, it's been awesome the whole time down here. We brought the car down here without a lap on the thing, and my guys have worked their butts off, and they all need to pat themselves on the back. They put together an awesome race car here, and I think we can do it. It's the best car I've ever had here, and I've had some pretty good ones in the past.
Well, the car is red. The engine is Ernie Elliott. It is extremely strong. Watch for him when they drop the green flag to take off toward the front, and watch for Mike Skinner to go with him. See if these two guys can possibly pull away as we get set for the 33rd running of the ARCA 200. Bob?
Tim Steele starts from the outside of row number 1, and we are just moments away from the command to start engines and the beginning of this 80-lap race here at Daytona, the ARCA 200. We'll be right back. The grid's still down on the pit road, getting set for the command to start engines, and we'll have that in just a moment. First of all, we'd like to remind you about our continued ESPN2 coverage from activity here at Daytona. It'll begin at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning as the Busch Grand National cars come onto the track for their first practice session. We'll have second-round NASCAR Winston Cup qualifying at 1 o'clock, and then the Goodies Dash cars will come onto the track for their first time as they prepare for their race this coming Friday. And also, the International Race of Champions cars will be back on the racetrack for continued practice. Their race is also this coming Friday. We are just about set for the command to start engines. It will be given by Debbie Sloniker from Bondo, who will give the starting command and get this thing underway here this afternoon. Let's go down to the starting line.
The marketing manager for Bondo Mar-Hyde, Debbie Sloniker.
Drivers, start your engines.
Begins to lessen because the drivers are in their cars, their engines are fired, and now the attention is toward the task at hand, and that is going to the front and being there at the end of 80 laps, 200 miles, and taking home the victory here in the ARCA 200. We will have the 42-car starting lineup and the green flag as we begin our stock car race coverage for 1996 in a moment. At Daytona, where the pace laps are beginning here prior to the ARCA 200. We have 4 cars carrying cameras for you today. Here's Jeff McClure in the W. Ford, also Ham and Bean sponsoring that in-car for us.
Sounds good to me. There's Harris Devane, the roof cam on his car, number 33 car.
Bob Hill also has a camera mounted beside him. He'll drive number 46. And finally,
Shane Dole.
Yeah.
In car 97. This is an ex-Michael Walter Bahari Pontiac from last year. He purchased that car and did not make the first race before he made contact with the wall.
Here is the starting lineup, the Suzuki starting lineup for today's race. Mike Skinner on the pole in the Childress Racing Chevy, qualified at 189.382. And outside of row number 1 will be Tim Steele from Coopersville, Michigan, in the HS Dye CIM Link Ford. Second row, Bob Schacht from Lombard, Illinois, car number 75, and Jeff Purvis from Clarksville, Tennessee, in the X1R Chevrolet, car number 1.
And back in the third row is Andy Hillenberg, last year's champion, alongside Harris Devane. Row 4, we find Ron Barfield. This is a Bill Elliott protege in his first race, ARCA race, alongside Randall Ritter in car 31.
Bob Hill will start inside the next row, car number 46. Mark Thompson is alongside. In row number 6, on the inside will be C.W. Smith in car number 28. Doug Reed in number 05 on the outside of the 6th row.
And there's Darrell Lanigan, the first time on asphalt, alongside Jeff McClure in car 50. And in row 8, Mark Stahl and Perry Tripp.
Former series champion Bobby Boucher will begin from the 17th starting position, car 21, and young Kevin Ray in car number 2. In the 10th row will be car number 11, driven by Andy Thurman, and Blaze Alexander, 2 rookies. He drives car number 26.
Row 11, Dill Whittemore and Billy Thomas, a dirt track expert. Row 12 is Kelly Denton and Ed Dixon.
Gary Weinbrower goes from 25th starting position, along with veteran Bobby Gerhardt. In the 14th row, it's Scott Neal in car number 24 and Dale Kreider in car number 15.
And then in the 15th row, we find Wayne Larson and Shane Doe starting 29th. And Rob Smith and Glenn Brewer make up row 16.
Going to row number 17, it's Mark Gibson, a local driver, and John Stratman. In row number 18, Glenn Miller and David Froghall.
John Wilkerson is in row 19 alongside Delma Coward. In row 20, the side window's gone.
How about that?
Oh, it's just loose.
It's going to be black flag to have to come in and fix it. So the story continues, BP.
There's Bob Dodds and Frank Kimmel, the provisionals for today.
And by the way, Frank Kimmel will be coming in very shortly after taking the green flag and accumulating the points, and Rick Shepard will take over that car. Boy, more bad luck from Shane Doles. Can you believe it?
No, can't.
And all this bad luck has meant just one thing, that he has become a household name. Well, you know, they did repair that side of the car. Maybe something just didn't, they forgot about something, or something just didn't go right.
Evidently, that is the side that he hit the...
Watch your speed.
Anybody else finds a piece of Lexan, make something to go in there. I'm trying to get a piece back here from Hutch. Need to get something to cut this stuff with, a jigsaw preferably.
It's gone, isn't it, Kyle?
Yeah, it's gone. It's somewhere on the racetrack, evidently. It's blown out, and that's the worst thing that can happen. They're sitting here, they're sitting on pit road. You can hear it in his voice. He's getting ready to drop the green flag, and they don't have a spare. And if you look at the Winston Cup guys, everybody's got a spare on it. But I mean, this is bad.
Man, oh man.
You know how it is, Benny. This is the most helpless feeling in the world, to be sitting there and watch everybody drive off into turn 1.
And they're going to do that in just a few seconds. The cars are in turn 2.
Would the officials see that truck and bring it down here to us? We went out and picked it up.
There's one of the crew members running back to their garage area.
The safety crew has your window. It's okay.
He said he's got the window, and it's okay, so Shane is saying, well, tell the guy to bring it to us.
Yeah. It's okay for the safety guy. It's not okay for Shane. He doesn't have a window right now.
I cannot hear your radio at all. All I get is static. Throw that silver gun away.
window.
The window is broken up. You hear me now? The window is broken up. We got to get another one in here. Somebody's looking for one. He's trying to get one cut out.
So now they'll have to go buy a piece of Lexan or plexiglass and get a saw and saw it out.
And fit it and pop rivet it in.
And pop rivet in. Wow. Okay, meanwhile,
while he sits on pit road, helpless until help arrives and a new window arrives, the field, now 41 strong, just about to get the green flag. And we welcome you to our coverage. No, the lights are back on. They are not going to go green. They'll go at least one more time. Jerry, why do they bring the lights back on?
Well, the safety crew went out, guys, to pick up that window from Shane Dole's car. They noticed some possible debris coming off turn 2 on the back straightaway. So rather than turn these cars loose at over 190 miles an hour, they called off the start, and they will go out and check the backstretch and hold them at least one more lap before the green.
There's a safety vehicle going down the backstretch while Shane Doles, once again, sits helplessly here on pit road.
Saw that air hose in the window.
That'll work.
Anything will work as long as you put something in the right side, Shane. There's something.
I ain't gonna be able to see nothing, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, does it have to be clear? Because he can't see anything out that thing.
The rule doesn't say anything about it being clear.
Really?
It's just
We can't do that. I got to be able to see.
Okay, well, Shane says he's not going to run with
I need
that.
something clear. I need something clear.
I'm
on the way with a piece of Lexan, get that other window, whoever's got it. Bust it up.
Yeah, it's history.
Well, I'm glad my car doesn't have a piece of plexiglass in it down there, because my car would be junk right now.
That's exactly right. I'm surprised they didn't stop at one of those cars sitting back there and try to take the glass one out.
Looks like the safety truck is off of the racetrack. We're continuing here. One of the pit members still running down pit road.
As long as it's clear so I can see through it.
Right after that, at 7 o'clock Eastern, hope you'll be listening. We have an awful lot of stuff going on today. Daytona's final speed.
Man, what a feeling. What a helpless feeling. All this work they've gone through, and now they can't race.
Evidently, that wasn't our window.
It wasn't their window? Is that what he said? Bill, what's the story down there?
Well, a crewman from another team went behind this pit carrying the exact part these guys need, and everybody started cheering and yelling.
There halfway decent. We'll cut this one out and go.
Telling him this is where he needed to be, and he waved him off. He said, nope, we need this one down at the other end.
Well, this time, the field is going to get the green flag as Shane sits on pit road. The pace car has come in, and here comes the field toward the green flag. Our stock car racing season for 96 here on ESPN is underway, and so is the ARCA 200.
Childers car, the Super Truck champion of 1995, Mike Skinner. Looks like he will lead the first lap.
Skinner will lead the first lap. 16 Tim Steele right behind. Jeff Purvis in number 1 runs third. Bob Shackton 75 is fourth as they head off toward turn number 1 again and fan out 3 wide. Well, almost 2 wide now going into the corner.
Ron Barfield in the blue and white number 94. That's the Bill Elliott protege. Got the car a little bit out of shape going down in turn 1. Looks like he ran into the apron with a left front.
There's the work that's going on in the Shane Doles pit as they try to get that right side window filled in and get Shane back out on the racetrack.
That's Jeff McClure in the black car that we see in number 50 alongside Perry Tripp. The green car is number 6, Perry. There's Kevin Ray, the 18-year-old young man in car 2.
And Mark Stahl is right behind him in car number 32.
and lots of side-by-side racing. Bob Hill in the red 46 and Harris Devane.
Ron Barfield in the 94 and the 05 is Doug Reed from Hueytown, Alabama.
That's the young man that told us the other day on one of our shows that he went to Atlanta last year and didn't run fast enough. His daddy fired him and put someone else in the car.
I know that feeling. I'm going to tell you.
He's a four-time WKA karting champion. Hey, they're making progress down on pit road with Shane Doles. Meanwhile, the 02 car, Frank Kimmel, comes in. The driver change has been made.
Two people out there?
There's our leader, Mike Skinner, the white number 3.
These 3 cars have broken away from the next 2. So it's Skinner,
Steele, and Purvis. Never nervous Jeff Purvis in 3rd spot.
4th place car is Bob Schacht.
Ron Barfield just cannot get off the bottom of the racetrack. That's him behind Jeff McClure. This is Harris Devane's car, the camera on top of the vehicle.
And we have a yellow flag. Caution flag is out. We have a car that is spun coming off of corner number 4. That's the 15 car of Dale Kreider.
That's the car he just bought from the Pete Orr bunch. Man, well, I hope they don't race back to the line too hard because he's sitting there in the racetrack.
He's actually down in the entrance to the pit area, down on the apron, so it should not present a problem to the drivers as they come down and get the caution flag for the first time this afternoon. Pete Orr, I guess, is going to concentrate on the Busch Series.
Go run the entire Busch 1996 Busch Series.
Shane Doles, meanwhile, sits down there, but it looks like they have made a lot of progress. They're not quite ready to send the car on the racetrack. There's Dale Kreider, who has brought out the first caution of the ARCA 200. We're back at Daytona, but we are under caution for the first time this afternoon as the number 15 car driven by Dale Kreider from St. Petersburg, Florida, spun coming off of corner number 4. The car came to rest at the entrance to the pit area. Here is the field summary for you, showing where everybody is running at the moment, and the number in parentheses to the right of the driver's name is an indication of where these guys started. So you can see that Jeff McClure has moved up to 9th position after starting in 14th. The rest of the field summary as we take another break during this caution period, and we'll be back with green flag racing at Daytona International Speedway when we return. The aerial shots that we will be seeing throughout the afternoon are courtesy of the Blockbuster Video Blimp. And the captain today is Terry Dillard, who lives down the road in Orlando. Thanks for the great overhead shots here at Daytona. Here's Bill Weber.
Well, Bobby Bowser, the 2-time series champion, has been to pit road. He has a miss in the motor. His brother Gary went under the hood to check for plug wires. That's not it. So he's going to have to battle it here this afternoon. And remember, he finished 45 points behind Andy Hillenberg in the race to the championship last season. So every point is important, and they start counting them here today, guys. Let's go down to Dr. Punch.
And, Bill, the first caution flag today came when Dale Kreider actually spun the car. And, Dale, you're pulling the helmet off. That's not a good sign. What happened?
No, sir. Well, we're just riding behind Bobby Bowser and trying to move forward. And what they tell me is the crank, the pulley on the front of the crank came off and spun me out when the motor locked up. For a minute, I thought I run over some trash because I felt a vibration. But, you know, it was the front pulley getting loose.
This guy made it 18 out of 24 hours a couple of weeks ago, but he only makes it a few laps here today. Bob?
So Kreider is behind the wall, but Shane Doles is finally on the racetrack. The repairs have been made to that car, and after all the bad luck that he's had, he's about to turn his first lap of competition. Here comes the field down for a restart, and the green flag waves once again. It's still Skinner, Steele, Purvis, Schacht, and Hillenberg, the top 5.
some of the observers around the racetrack are reporting that Tim Steele might be losing some fluid. I would speculate it's probably water. And running behind Skinner, the car is running a little bit warm, and the overflow, water's coming out the overflow. But we'll wait and see. And also the ARCA officials are going to black flag Scott Neal for passing on the left on the restart. You cannot pass on the left side until you get to the start-finish line. You know that, don't you, Kyle?
I know it good. I thought it was Shane Doles for a minute. I saw a yellow car coming on the inside, and I said, oh, not something else happened there. Here we go again.
Now a battle for second place as Jeff Purvis has taken over second place from Tim Steele. They come down through the tri-oval and are side-by-side at the line. Steele on the outside in 16 and Purvis in number 1.
Tell you what, those guys had a handful up there in that corner as they passed each other.
I think as far as Tim goes, I think Skinner said it in the beginning that he had drafted with Tim, and he and Tim were going to race until the end of the race and then race their rear ends off. They were just going to ride around. I don't think anybody told Purvis that.
Look at Mike Skinner dipping low on the racetrack to try to break the draft. Now, there's our scoring pylon over there on the upper left of your screen, showing the top 10 and how many laps there are to go. Is ready to make a bid for the lead. He shoots to the outside in that number 1 car, and going into turn 1, he takes the lead, and it looks like Tim Steele may come along.
He did that so easy. Does Skinner have a problem? Maybe they just got position off the tri-oval and went on the outside. Jerry Punch, does Skinner have a problem?
Well, he radioed in a moment ago, Benny. He thought he heard something rattling or popping, and I just checked with his crew, and Will told me they think they may have an exhaust pipe cracked in the car number 3. They had one cracked the other day in practice. Said it shouldn't affect it very much, if at all, but that may be what he's hearing in the car. Now, Tim Steele behind him also had a problem a moment ago. Apparently, he has some paper stuck to the right front grille on that car number 16. The paper now apparently has blown away, but the engine was starting to run hot and lose a little bit of water out the overflow.
So that was the fluid that the ARCA officials did, in fact, see coming from the 16 car.
The 29 car of Darrell Lanigan had a tire problem. He ducked in and out of the pits. And now Skinner into the number 3 car pulls into 4th position ahead of Andy Hillenberg as they get into single file formation down the backstretch. There's Hillenberg in the 52 car, the defending race and series champion. 2 victories last year. In addition to his win here at Daytona, he won at Flat Rock Speedway in May.
Well, now Skinner's coming back now.
Yeah, he is.
I think the first 3 cars, Skinner and Purvis and Steele, their cars are pretty equal. When Skinner tried to break the draft from them, the other 2 cars just lined up, got a good run as he broke the draft to the inside and then back out to the wall, just sucked up on him and went by him.
So Mike moves back up to 3rd position.
From the blimp, we can see the lines that the drivers take around the racetrack. They're running on the bottom of the racetrack. That's the preferred line now, Kyle?
It seems to be in the early going. If you watch these guys as they run, it's always that way through 3 and 4. You watch these guys run through 3 and 4, they run right dead on the bottom because the car seems to have a tendency to get a little pushy and want to work up the racetrack as you come off, as you kind of give the car a head to come off and head back towards the tri-oval. As you go into 1 and 2, you'll notice in the Winston Cup races and watch this ARCA race as they go on, when they're running in a tight pack, everybody will go to the outside to pass. They'll start running higher and higher. There's a really, really bad bump in between 1 and 2 that it's just tough to shock for. No matter what the Penske's do or the Bilsteins or the Olin shocks come out with, it's just hard to guard, man, and it rattles your teeth. It'll knock your fillings out about halfway through a race. So I think everybody just gets tired of it and moves up. But they run on the bottom right now since their tires are fresh. They're only 7 or 8 laps into a run. They'll run there, but towards the end of the run, they'll move up.
There's Bob Dodds in the 09 car.
Top 5 cars have broken away. We're riding with Jeff McClure, who started 14th and is currently up to 6th position. It's been a steady move to the front for Jeff McClure.
And there he's following Mark Thompson. And there's Ron Barfield. Mark Thompson in the 66, Jeff McClure in 50, and Ron Barfield in the 94.
McClure was 5th in the 1994 ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde point standings. Ray in the blue number 2 car there. Sliding up in front of Scott Neal, the number 24.
That's the young man that was a black flag for passing on the left on the restart, that yellow 24. Kevin Ray, his dad, raced here in Daytona many times. John Ray
holds the tractor-trailer rig record at Talladega, does he not?
I think he does. As a matter of fact, he lives. Kevin and John live very near the Talladega Super Speedway.
How's Shane Dole's doing? Well, he's at least racing.
He's on the racetrack. And the camera, we'll see, we needed that so the camera could see out the right window as well, Kyle.
That's true. And that's the main thing. He's doing exactly what he needs to do now. He's got his car fixed. He's out there. He's making laps. And there's nothing better than making laps at Daytona because it pays off. Might not pay off this year or next year, but it'll pay off 2 or 3 years down the road.
He is 6 laps down, running in 41st position, but nevertheless, he is getting some experience.
And he's talking to the crew as he's going through that right thumb. He's pushing the button down, talking to the crew as he goes through the corner.
That thing looks pretty good today compared to what it has looked like in the previous few days.
It looked like the wreck of the old 97, didn't it?
That's right.
Not much. Not turning the wheel, sawing the wheel back and forth.
No.
Very calm on the steering wheel.
He's
The Mosers, so watch it.
just
Bobby Bowser that we see that Shane Dold is going by. So Bowser's car obviously on 7 cylinders.
he's obviously running fairly well because when we first went to this shot, there was nobody in his. You looked at his windshield and there was nobody there, and all of a sudden he has run down a pack.
Yep. Back to Jeff McClure looking back on Ron Barfield.
4760.
Ron Barfield, that's an R&D car for Bill Elliott, and we don't have any idea what kind of parts might be on this car that Elliott is testing for the Winston Cup car. Shocks, springs, engine parts.
Barfield coming to ARCA after winning Rookie of the Year honors in 1994 in the Slim Jim All-Pro Series. Now McClure looks to the bottom of Mark Thompson. Jerry Punch has more on the 94 car driven by Barfield.
You know, Ron Barfield had never driven on a super speedway until today, but of course he was Rookie of the Year in the All-Pro Series, and back in the wintertime, spent 2 days, 8 hours a day at Talladega, and 3 days, 8 hours a day right here at Daytona, drafting with one of the best, Bill Elliott, who's his car owner. Now, what Elliott told him about being in the racetrack, race traffic was, on a plate track like Daytona, you keep your right foot glued to the floor and use your left foot just to tap the brakes so slightly when you run up on traffic. If you back off that throttle foot, they're going to run off and leave you.
Is that right, Kyle? You got to keep your foot all the way down and brake with the left foot.
That's about the best thing to do. What happens with these cars with a restrictor plate motor is there is no acceleration at all. None at all. So once you're out and try to get back in, it takes longer to build up the speed than if you just drag the brake. So most everybody, that's why they've gone, as you know, they used to go to the real thin rotors and the light calipers and stuff to get as much brake away from the car as you could at the Speedway. Now everybody's running the same stuff at Daytona that they run at Martinsville.
Bill, looks like the hood's going up on Boucher's car.
Yeah, he radioed in just a few laps ago. They were talking about it. He's definitely got a miss in there. I just talked to Gary a couple laps earlier. He said it hasn't gotten any better. They told Bobby he could take it behind the wall if he wanted to. He's elected to pull it in here. They fueled it. They're under the hood, and that's where they're going to be working. We're at the Daytona International Speedway for the ARCA 200. Stay with our coverage right here on ESPN.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, ESPN, on the air live with the ARCA 200 that's being led by Jeff Purvis at the moment. There he is in car number 1. We'll show you a field summary where all of your favorite drivers are running at the moment. Skinner back there in the white number 3 is second. Looks like Hillenberg is trying to challenge for that 4th position. Couldn't get the job done.
Oh, he did get the job done. He just
passed
him. Bob, pay attention. He passed him. He's now 4th spot, and Shaq is back in 5th. And that's Tim Steele in the 3rd spot.
The 21 car of Boucher is behind the wall. The 57 car of John Stratman is on pit road. And BP, before we go any further, we have to welcome a new race fan into the world. He is just about 9 hours old right now. William Michael Sifferlin was born this morning at 5 o'clock. He is the son of John and Mary Beth. John is the producer of ESPN Speedway. So 8 pounds, 10 ounces. Welcome to the world, William Michael Sifferlin. Here's Jerry Punch.
Guys, prior to the race today, there was a drafting coalition struck and consummated with a handshake. Actually, what happened was Mike Skinner agreed with Tim Steele. They would shake hands and draft together and run away from the 52 and the 1 car. But what's happened because of speed differentials, they have switched partners, and now Skinner, who was going to go to school on learning how to draft, tries to make a move on Jeff Purvis. So best laid plans, huh, Kyle? Sometimes they don't always work out.
They never work. When you pick a drafting partner, you might as well just be talking to yourself, because nobody's going to help anybody except themselves.
It's like taking the ugly girl to the prom because she was available, and after you get there, you notice she is available, so you dance with her all evening.
Exactly. But she's got a good personality.
Yeah, right.
Purvis is running an entirely different line than Skinner. Now, there's a slower car up in front. I think that's Wayne Larson. Yes, it is, that they're going by. So Purvis is not able to run the low side, but he normally runs right on the bottom of the racetrack, and Skinner moves up a little bit. Look at this heavy traffic they're encountering now.
They're in heavy race traffic. Go to the bottom of the racetrack, go down way below the white line, 3 abreast into the corner, and they make the pass successfully.
Ooh, Randall Ritter in the 31 car, Gary Weinbroer in 77. What was that went by, they said.
I don't think they saw him coming.
Now that we still have that same problem with the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place cars.
Bobby Boucher's problems continue. Let's check in with that situation.
Former 2-time champion, you've had 2nd place finishes at Daytona and Talladega, but not today, Bobby. What happened?
Well, we picked up a mess. I don't know if it was fuel or electrical, and just one of them things. We started going backwards and come in, checked it out, and couldn't find out what was wrong. So, Quality Farm Fleet Ford Thunderbird there, I was just trying to back up a little bit and get a little bit of room so I could race a little bit, and then it just started missing. But we just had to come back another day and try it again. But the car felt real good the first few laps.
You chased this championship all the way to the last race last year. I know this has to crush you.
Well, you know, you got to start out the year a lot better than what we do, you know, and the playing catch-up is hard to do, and then it kind of drags you down through the whole course of the year, and it makes it hard at the end of the year. So we just have to go home and see what we can do and go to Atlanta next month, where my luck hasn't been too good, and try to change it there. But I'll be home tomorrow, Britt.
Bobby Boucher won the pole award title in 1995, taking 5 Talladega pole positions. The race was an early one for him here today.
Blaze Alexander in the 26 car made just a pit stop just a moment ago, and the ARC official said, too fast on pit road, so he'll have to come back in. As a matter of fact, he's doing that right now.
There's 3rd and 4th. 16 is Tim Steele. 52 is Andy Hillenberg. On the right of your screen now is the 75 car of Bob Schacht, and he is 5th.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go talk to these guys and see what shots they're running. I can't run down there. But there's a really bad bump over there. Earnhardt's really, really good, and that's where he's been so strong the last 3 or 4 years in the Winston Cup division. He and Sterling and those guys, because they can run through that, and they make their car work there all day. A lot of guys, including myself, haven't been able to do that over the last couple of years.
Harris Devane in the 33. 46 is Bob Hill, and Perry Tripp in 6.
He's smoking, Benny?
Yeah, they tell me that he is losing some fluid or smoking. He's going to be black flag.
Perry Tripp is a former open wheel driver, used to run some sprint car and some USAC Silver Crown races.
Bob Hill tries to take a look on the inside of Harris Devane, and he does.
That's Kevin Ray coming up on these 3 cars in number 2.
Yeah, we saw the smoke that time out of the back of Perry Tripp's car.
Oh, yeah, you can see it pretty obviously now. Now on your scoring pile. are the manufacturers represented in the top 10. We have a couple of Chevrolets leading and one running in 4th position, but otherwise it's a Ford show here at Daytona.
This is Harris Devane, the roof cam. Bob Hill in front.
Harris Devane was one of co-rookie of the year last year. He and Dill Whittemore, they finished with the same number of points, and so they just gave the honor to both men. Here is 1st and 2nd, Purvis in 1, Skinner in 3.
You heard Mike Skinner at the top of the show say thanks to Jeff and Dale for Racing for Kids. My understanding is Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt purchased Racing for Kids. That's a magazine designed towards children, you know, 5 to 10-year-old kids, and it is a great magazine. I get it, and
it's a really good magazine. If you, especially in the Southeast, most of the libraries, I know the schools that my kids go to, you see a copy of it or 4 or 5 copies in every school library you go to. So it gets kids excited. There's a lot of school projects out there that have to do with Winston Cup racing, where they teach 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders about numbers and adding and subtracting and things like that by using race cars. So it's a big plus, and it's good for Dale and Jeff to get involved like that.
And folks, if you're concerned about some things that are offensive to kids that are involved in racing, all that is airbrushed off the pictures that they use in Racing for Kids.
Perry Tripp has heeded the black flag and come in for the check. He was smoking rather badly while he was out there on the racetrack. Scheduled pit stops should be coming up soon. We'll be back for those when we return to Daytona. Right now, it's a 2-car race in the ARCA 200. The leader is Jeff Purvis, and right behind him is Mike Skinner. But we have pit stops coming up, and they're going to make their first scheduled pit stops at about the halfway mark. Doc, what's the strategy down there?
Bob, that's basically it. If you can make it to 40 laps to come in one stop, fill it up with fuel, and get it full of fuel, put on 4 tires. Although tires aren't really a factor, they'll put them on anyway because of concern about debris. Then they'll go out and run the final 40 laps. Now remember, there are at least 7 teams down here who have Winston Cup crews pitting their cars. Kelly Denton has the Mike Wallace crew. Darrell Lanigan has a combination of the Jasper, the Bobby Hillin crew, and the Jeremy Mayfield, Kerry Yarborough crew. Ron Barfield has the Bill Elliott crew. Scott Neal, the Sterling Marlin crew. Now close toward the front, the Earnhardt crew, Winston Cup crew will be pitting Mike Skinner, and Jeff McClure will have the Bud Moore crew pitting his car. So, and one driver who made his first start today on asphalt, well, it was a short one. He's standing by with Bill Weber.
Darrell Lanigan, your first start here, obviously a short one. You want the next one to be longer. What put you out today?
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing. We had a tire equalizer at the beginning. Then we just dropped a valve in, so we didn't have no luck today. The car felt good. Oh, it was running good when we got out there with the other group of cars, but no luck.
A dream come true for most drivers to compete here at Daytona. How did it feel to you?
Oh, it felt pretty good. We wasn't too nervous. So, I mean, I guess that meant a bunch because we got out there and we ran pretty good with them guys. So we'll try them again in Atlanta.
Darrell Lanigan out for the day.
Kyle, what do you figure? Mike Skinner falls back and then he drives up behind Jeff Purvis. Is he overheating and he's going back to cool the thing down and make another run? What's the deal?
You know, I think he's just playing. You know, I think at the beginning of the race, he pretty much said what he wanted to do. He pretty much said it in the opening interview, that he wanted to just run until they got down to the last part of the race, and then he was going to give everything he had. And he drafts up on him, you know, and he sucks up, and you watch him. He runs, Skinner will run the low line through 3 and 4, and then he'll run up apple lane. Then he'll run high, and then he'll run low again. And he's all over the racetrack. He's just figuring out what his car is going to do on old tires with a little bit of fuel in it if it gets down to being 80 on the 72nd, 73rd, 74th lap, where these other guys continue to run their main line. I think he's driving a pretty sharp race right now. He's trying to figure out what his car's going to do on old tires and no fuel.
Well, we drop our coverage back here a little bit and check on 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's Blaze Alexander, 26. Now, he's a couple of laps down because he made a pit stop and then was penalized for going too fast. But it looks like the new tires, Kyle, are a lot faster because look how much faster he is than Bob Shack.
I tell you, new tires have been a plus in the Winston Cup garage area this week. This is a different compound, a different company and stuff. But the way the racetrack is, and you know, Benny, you pave a racetrack, everything sticks. As the racetrack gets older and older and older, new tires become more and more a factor. And even at a place like this, they might not be faster, but for 2 or 3 laps, but those 2 or 3 laps, it makes you feel good. You know how it is when you get to Rockingham and Darlington. You love new tires.
And he Hillenberg now comes up on some slower traffic. There's Hillenberg in the number 52 car. Tim Steele in number 16. Steele going for 4 wins in a row. He won the last 3 races in 1995. Meanwhile, once again, Skinner has caught right up to Jeff Purvis. Doc?
Well, Mike Skinner has a bit of a push in the car. They're going to make an air pressure change when they pit here in about 2 laps. But the big concern, the reason he's been backing up and coming forward, is they are going to try to work out a deal to pit with the 1 car. Those 2 guys will pit simultaneously in about 2 or 3 laps at the halfway point. So he backed up, moved up on Purvis and moved back so he can basically follow Purvis down pit. But remember, Skinner has never been here at an ARCA event, so pit road speed is very, very important.
And that's a good point. Backing off to get in the pits is very critical because they're out there running 190 miles per hour, and they got to slow down to pit road speed of 65 miles per hour. And where do you start doing that? Do you do it when you come off turn 4? Do you do it going in turn 3? Purvis will be able to lead him in.
Yeah, it's very critical. First time I came here in '79 to test, Dale Inman said pit road speed is the most critical thing, judging where to come in. I came off turn 4 there running about 180, and when I came out the other end of pit road, I was still running about 140 or 50. There was no way I was going to get that car wound down. First time I'd ever tried it, and it was an important lesson for me.
All right, Purvis and Skinner stay out on the racetrack. And when they complete 1 more lap, it will be the halfway mark. $1,000 goes to the driver who leads at the halfway point. So apparently Purvis wants to put that money in his pocket, and then he'll come in for the pit stop.
Or Skinner knows that. Do we have a radio? Can I call Skinner and tell him there's $1,000 to the halfway leader? I guess we can't tell him.
Nah, probably not a good idea.
That's a Richard Childress team. He probably knows it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. They pick up every dollar that's laying on the table. You can count on that.
Jeff Purvis has won 3 super speedway events in '93 and '94. Here he comes down through the tri-oval, and the cross flags are being displayed. Jeff Purvis wins the auto value halfway money of $1,000. Perry Tripp is smoking badly again and dropping down to the apron.
Yeah, he made a pit stop as dictated by the ARCA officials, and they looked at it, and I guess thought it wouldn't be too bad. He goes back on the racetrack, and we can see that it is smoking worse now than it was just a few laps ago.
We've only had 1 caution flag in the first half of this race. That was for a minor spin by Dale Kreiner coming off of corner number 4. Everything else has been clean and green. But now pit stops are about to occur. Let's look up toward turn number 4 and see if Jeff Purvis, yep, Purvis and Mike Skinner are both coming in.
Also, Billy Thomas in the 22 car. Now, that's going to be some traffic in their way as they come down pit road. That could help those guys running back in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. There you see they got to follow Thomas.
And, Skinner comes awfully close to running into the back of Purvis because Purvis had to get on the brakes to avoid hitting Thomas. Now here they both come down toward turn number 1. Skinner will arrive in his area first. Jerry?
And they will change all 4 tires. Remember, they had a push. They've already made an air pressure adjustment on the tire they're putting on the right front before they would go on. Now, 1 on the top of your screen, 3 on the bottom. Purvis on top, Skinner on the bottom. Left side tire is going on the 3 car. Let's check in down the Purvis pit.
4 tires for Jeff Purvis. Now they've changed their mind. It's only going to be a 2-tire stop. Right sides only. Waiting on fuel. The fuel's in, and Purvis is away. Skinner charging down pit road, and will go by him after they've exited the pit. Andy Hillenberg also leads. Following Tim Steele as all the leaders pit here.
And Purvis just cannot get his car up to speed. We can see he's still back there trying to get it up to speed.
I don't know if Purvis missed a gear or what happened, but I mean, as he left pit road, he all but stopped at the entrance to the infield course there. I mean, he slowed down so slow that a couple of cars went by him.
Bob Schack in the top 10 is now in for a pit stop as Purvis tries to get back up to speed. Jeff McClure is the leader at the moment as pit stops are happening. Here, look how close this is. Skinner running into the back of Purvis.
Well, Billy Thomas in the 22 is going to the garage area. I mean, he's out for the day, and you see the 6 car pulls in his way. Both of those cars are going in, and you can see the 1 and 3 almost ran in the back of those cars.
Here is Bob Schack. Bill, he's in your area.
And he's going to take on 4 tires for his Taco Bell Ford Thunderbird. They've already done the right sides. The fuel is complete. This is taking a long time. They're working on the left side. McClure coming in with a 3-car draft. Now Shack is down, and he gets a push, and he's away, but that took a long time. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
And our leader after that pit stop here is Jeff McClure. He will come down pit road. And McClure at 65 miles an hour. That's the speed on pit road. It seems like an eternity. It must to a driver from the end of pit road all the way down to where McClure is pitting. A combination of the Bud Moore and Wood Brothers crew now pitting the car number 50 owned by Bobby Jones. Right side tires going on. Looks like they will only make a 2-tire change. And they fill it up with fuel, first can going in, and they're waiting to get it full of fuel. They could have probably already changed left side tires, and now the car is down and away in less than 19 seconds, but only 2 tires.
Pulling out right behind him is Ron Barfield. Here is Doug Reed, who is completing the work on his 05 car and coming in. Harris Devane, Kevin Ray, and Bob Hill all looking for pit stops here.
And 65 miles per hour. That is pit road speed. And you see the white lines on pit road? The ARCA officials have a stopwatch. They time these cars between those white lines, and they can't beat it so fast. Here's Bill Weber.
And waiting on last year's co-rookie of the year to pull in. He's got the 46 car right behind him. Almost didn't see his pit. Now he yanks it left on the wheel and pulls it in. The 33 car sits. They're going to go to the right side first. Let's see if they take 4 tires. It's also right side tires for the 46. Fuel going in. They'll clean the windshield and the front grille. You might notice that the 33 car doesn't have his name on it. It's being used for another event here as a movie production company. He's shooting some scenes here. Harris Devane with 2 tires gets away at 21 and change. Now the 46 car also right sides only, and he's away.
And there comes Bob Shack, looks like, and the 94 car, Ron Barfield and Jeff McClure. So Shack has fallen back to that group. That is Bob Shack, isn't it? This is 33, Harris Devane, as he shifts the car into high gear coming off turn 2.
Well, apparently the number 3 car of Mike Skinner has gone back into the lead as a result of the pit stops. We will be back with more of our live coverage in just a moment from Daytona.
Carl Ravitch in our ESPN studios. We'll get you out to the ARCA 200 in just about 60 seconds. Want to get you up to date on things that have gone on today. The Busch Clash earlier this morning featuring 2 10-lap races for all the 95 pole winners. Earnhardt starts in the blind draw last. Fell way back. Sterling Marlin in the yellow car started 4th, and he ends up winning. Takes 25 grand for the first segment. Earnhardt then inverts the field and starts near the top. On the second segment, lap 4, Jarrett starts 12th and passes the man in black. Jarrett wins his first career Busch Clash, and the last lap, a huge move on Marlin. $45,000 for taking the Clash, the 3rd Ford victory in the event's history. Earnhardt finishes 3rd. Remember, he has won this event before. He has never won a Daytona 500. On the basketball court, UMass is yet to lose this season. They're up on Temple 30-19. 10 days ago, they beat them 59-35. ESPN today, we got a full schedule for you. Davis Cup, we got some golf, then Sports Center, and the ESPY Awards preview show at 7:30. Back to Bob Jenkins at Daytona.
All right, Carl. Well, we're back at Daytona, and yeah, earlier today the Busch Clash was held, and Dale Jarrett came out on top. Another member of the Busch Clash field was Jeff Gordon, and he's in the running for Racing Personality of the Year tomorrow when ESPN presents the 4th annual ESPY Awards. Radio City Music Hall is the location. Tony Danza is the host for the festivities as the ESPYs honor the best performances and most memorable moments from the year in sports, including the Auto Racing Personality of the Year, Jeff Gordon, one of the candidates, the ESPY Awards, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on ESPN. Back at the ARCA 200 now, Mike Skinner is the leader of the race at the moment, and running in second position is Jeff Purvis.
This is Bob Hill that we're riding along with as he goes by the start-finish line.
Right behind you. Number 3 behind you.
Number 3, the leader, right behind him.
Inside. Inside. Inside.
He's running 11.
Clear behind him.
So right now, only 10 cars on the lead lap.
to follow him, man. Yeah, right. Got a tow rope. Throwing to you.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. Follow him, I wish I could.
I heard that 2 or 3 times last year. Just follow that car when he comes around you. Yeah. I got you.
Dale, Jerry, you and Dale used to play in the dirt around these racetracks, didn't you, Kyle?
Right down there behind the score stand is where our mothers used to sit. Right, we're sitting straight across from them. There used to be, remember, there used to be a playground under there. There was slide boards and the swings, and you were racing there.
I think I don't like these shocks off the front.
What do you say? He doesn't like the shocks?
Yeah, he didn't like the shocks. So that's where you played, huh?
That's where we played, right up under there. Had a big old time.
Hang on to what you got, bud.
That's, our mothers could look out the back and see us, and they'd come down and wear us out every now and then if we got too rowdy. There was a chain link fence around it, though. We couldn't go anywhere. So it was a lot of fun.
There are 36 of 42 cars still running, and Dr. Jerry Punch has an update on Bill has an update on Jeff Purvis, who is running in second, trying to catch Skinner.
And his car owner thinks he's coming. You think he's closing the gap?
Yeah, he's definitely closing the gap. I think, you know, he's gaining a couple tenths of a lap, I think.
Little slow getting up to speed after that pit stop, James.
Yes, it was. We were making sure we got the fuel in it because we don't know exactly how far we can go on fuel.
There was some talk earlier this week you guys might withdraw. I bet you're glad you stayed.
Yes, we are. We got our number anyway.
And they're doing okay so far today.
Now the 32 car, Mark Stahl losing a couple of positions here. That's the blue and white car up on the high side of the racetrack.
That's Jeff McClure in 50, Ron Barfield in 94. That is Mark Stahl, as you mentioned, and Kevin Ray in the 2 car. Now, Kevin Ray raced with these fellas about all day, but when he made his pit stop, he was too fast on pit road, was black flag, so he lost a lap.
Might follow up just a little bit on that story that was alluded to. When the 3 car came here for practice on Wednesday, it was numbered 1, and so was Jeff Purvis's car, and there was a moment when Jeff said, well, if I can't run the number 1, I'm going to leave. But that was all worked out. Skinner took the 3, Purvis retained the 1. Here's the AutoZone race recap. Mike Skinner is the leader. He's led 18 of the first 52 laps. We have 5 lead changes, only 1 caution period for 3 laps, so the average speed is near 169.5 miles an hour. Jeff Purvis has led 30, Skinner 18. Harris Devane has been in front for 2 laps, and Jeff McClure and Bob Schacht have also been credited with leading a lap. The attrition has not been all that bad. Here are the drivers who have dropped out of the race.
Watch that yellow car, Jeff. He goes up to the top of the racetrack in almost every corner.
That's Frog Allen in the car 12, and Frog is very, very slow. Must have a flat tire that said he goes up the racetrack, so...
Been black flagged for going too slow, so he'll be coming in.
Yeah, Frog's got a handful today.
A couple more slow cars in front of you.
24, Scott Neal, and Ed Hickson. R.E. Hickson in the
R.C. Hickson.
R.C.
Yeah. Close.
Mr. Hickson. How's that?
Mr.
Ron Barfield, that car looks pretty stable, doesn't he, Kyle?
All these cars look really stable. You know, a lot of times you come down here and you watch these things and you watch these races and you can learn a lot. Even the Winston Cup guys learn a lot because these are the body styles we run. These are the Fords we run. These are the Monte Carlos that these guys run. And you learn a lot from them. These cars are really stable. And I think it's just a matter of the technology bleeding over from the Winston Cup. Like you guys said, there's 2 or 3 cars out here right now that are ex-Winston Cup cars. And, you know, they bring the technology over for... They work.
I'm surprised you noticed the Barfield car. I thought you'd be looking at Hearst ham beans there, thinking about later on this afternoon.
Now, I'm kind of interested in how Barfield does. He used to race with my son Kevin up at the Myrtle Beach Speedway, and he and Kevin are pretty good friends. And
Shack up there in front of you.
Just watch and listen as you also look at the field summary, showing 8 cars now on the lead lap.
On the bottom of the racetrack.
flag is out.
Obviously, the ARCA officials have found some debris on the racetrack and have thrown the caution flag, and Jeff Purvis had called Skinner, Kyle.
Yep.
And that's pretty amazing.
So now, for only the second time this afternoon, the caution flag comes out, and the field will be bunched up in the ARCA 200. Back at Daytona International Speedway in the ARCA 200. Part of Speed Weeks 96 here at Daytona. We'll have continuing coverage on ESPN2 all during this coming week. We'll have the Florida 200 next Friday and the Busch Grand National Goodies 300 next Saturday night. Caution is for a spin that involved the 28 car of C.W. Smith over on the turn 2 area. However, he continued on. And there's some concern in the pit area about Frog Hall and the number 12 car. They're attending to him.
Look, you know, look, Kyle, you can't get in the lake anymore.
Thank goodness.
See the wall back there, folks? Used to, the cars would spin off turn 2, and a few years ago,
Dash car. Yeah, went in. And I think he landed on his wheels after he was in.
He
was
did,
he upside down? No, he was on his road. I don't remember how he landed. He was in the lake. That's all I know, and that's not where you want to be at Daytona International Speedway.
In the early 60s, there was a couple of cars spun and moved down in the lake. But I say they put a wall up to keep those cars out of the lake. That's Lake Lloyd.
We've been real fortunate. You know, you used to have a lot of bad wrecks coming out of turn 2 and get into that inside bank and get up on top of that stuff. But, you know, with the side windows, with the skirts, with the roof flaps that they've come out with, the technology has taken a lot of that out of it, and it's been a lot safer.
All right, let's take another break here while we have the opportunity under caution before we resume the ARCA 200. Stand by. We'll be back in just a moment. Coming up on 60 laps completed in the ARCA 200, an 80-lap race. And the leader is Mike Skinner, followed by Jeff Purvis, then Andy Hillenberg, Tim Steele, and Bob Schacht.
Pit road has been closed, and now we see the fellow waving the green flag right behind the 76 ball. Who's going to pit? Skinner doesn't pit. The one car doesn't pit. Just cars. None of the lead lap cars are coming in. That's kind of a surprise, isn't it?
Well, yes and no. You know, I think they know what their cars are capable of because they've run. You know, they run the first.
Tim Steele is in.
Tim Steele came in. Yep. So, yeah, Tim Steele's in. But, you know, they ran the first part of the race. They felt like they had something that was pretty decent. It worked after 30 or 40 laps. So, you know, I guess they think that that's what they're going to have at the end.
And we see that now they're taking the lug nuts off the left side. Jerry Punch?
Yeah, they are going to make a 4-tire change on Tim Steele's car, BP. Actually, he pitted on lap 41 when the other leaders came in, but he only changed right-side tires, and the car has not handled very well at all. Not that tires will make that big a difference here, but they wanted to go ahead and come in and change 4 tires. None of the other cars, there are only 8 cars in the lead lap. None of the other cars wanted to come in, and certainly not Mike Skinner.
And we saw them taking the lug nuts off with an air wrench on the left side. ARCA rules you can use 3 impact wrenches.
Bill has more on the Purvis car.
Yeah, guys, Jeff had a similar complaint when they came in and took on just 2 right-side tires. He was not happy at all with the way the car was handling, but he said as the laps have gone along, the car's gotten better, so he doesn't plan to come and stop.
Jerry Punch is with Richard Childress.
And, guys, we told you that Mike Skinner was a rookie here in ARCA competition. He needs all the help he can get. Well, he's not getting it from pit road. Actually, we're going to show you where he's getting it from. That's the crew in the pits there. And we're going to have Robbie pan around. We're actually way up behind pit road, up on a scaffolding with Richard Childress, the car owner. Richard, going to be awfully proud of your truck driver so far.
Yeah, he's doing a super job. The whole team has, you know, getting the car down here and getting it ready. And, you know, we were trying a few things for Sunday. The car's pretty tight right now, so we're just going to see. Jeff's got a lot of experience, too.
Now, what are you doing? You're actually helping him with regard to the draft. I mean, I know you're talking to him a lot up here. What are you saying to him?
Well, you know, if I see something, I tell him, but it's awful hard to tell somebody, you know, how to draft or something. But if I see a little something, I think it'll help him. I've been telling him.
Mike Skinner's a rookie, but he's got an awfully good teacher here and a veteran car owner who's won Winston Cup title after title with Dale Earnhardt. Back with more live coverage from the ARCA 200 after this.
lineup is forming for the restart. We've been under caution for the last few laps, but just about to go back to green now at the completion of lap number 62. We got 18 more to go. You can see that there are 8 cars on the lead lap as the pace car is about to pull off the track and hand the field over once again to Mike Skinner.
And Ron Barfield, the 94 car, pitted too soon. The pit road was closed. He made a pit stop, so his penalty, he has to start back at the end of the longest line. So he's way back there. Here he comes on the outside, the blue and white car. Doug Reed on the inside of Skinner in 0-5 trying to get a lap back.
Skinner down the backstretch. 05 car is...
Well, he's right now, he's on the tail end of the lead lap.
Right.
Now he's a lap down.
By a few inches.
By a few inches. Here comes Purvis. Closes up right on the back bumper. Ooh, Harris Devane almost got in the back of Purvis.
Devane is a 33. Bob Hill is in 46. Ooh, they get awfully close down there.
Now, the inside car's hung out now. They'll drive past him. Devane was helping him.
Andy Hillenberg in the blue, red, and white car pulls out to the inside, tries to pass Bob Hill. He's got Mark Thompson right behind him in the 66.
Low, clear low.
Hillenberg spotter.
66 is right behind you.
Front 2 cars have broken away again, Skinner and Purvis.
Yes, they have.
Right behind him, it's a pretty tight pack. A lot tighter than even at the beginning of the race, anything we saw.
Well, I think what happens, especially when you have a lot of inexperienced drivers, they come to a racetrack like Daytona, it's very intimidating. When they first start the race, they're very cautious and they want to get some laps in. Right now, there are only 18 laps to go, 16 laps to go. They want to get all the positions they can, so they're pretty racy right now.
Yeah, they're thinking finish at the beginning. Now they're thinking race.
Exactly.
Inside. 2 cars inside. They're still there. Still there. Still there.
That's the Bob Hill spotter telling him that the guy's still there, still there. And it's the 50 car of Jeff McClure and Mark Stahl that's on the inside. White number 11 is Andy Thurman. That car is owned by Andy Hillenberg, and Thurman is one of his instructors at the Fast Track Driving School. And
go to the inside, Benny.
Yeah.
We're still there. You got some help behind you.
Nice pass.
We're still inside you.
Mark Thompson, 66, thought about making it 3 abreast, pulled out, couldn't go anyplace.
Hill in 46 and Thurman in 11, right beside each other as they head toward that banking.
That's Bill Whittemore in the 56, last year's co-rookie of the year. And Ed Dixon in the blue 51 in that group. Ed out of St. Louis.
This racing and trading of positions goes on. Behind, up in front, it is still Skinner and Purvis. There they are, and that's how close they are as Skinner tries to break that draft going down the backstretch and go to the inside. But Purvis will not be let go. Jerry, what's the strategy here?
Bob, that's exactly what the strategy is. Now, what Mike Skinner has been told by his veteran crew, and I talked to Richard Chillis a moment ago, see how he moves down the racetrack and back up? He's being told to move around, not let Purvis get a clean draft. Mess the air up coming off your car. Move in, move out, back and forth, gingerly, but back and forth so Purvis can't get a clean run at you.
Now we see Chevrolets in the first 3 spots and 7 Fords right behind them. like the sun is trying to come out, Kyle. Does it make a difference on this racetrack if you go from cloudy, overcast day to sunlight?
Sometimes it does. You know, it really more than cloud cover or sun for this racetrack, wind is a big factor at this racetrack. The wind's been pretty consistent all day long where it's blowing. It's a tailwind down the backstretch. But, you know, sun cover really won't have a big effect on these cars. Not this far into a run, not this late in the race. I think they're pretty much what they got is what they're going to get. Whether the temperature goes up 30 degrees, these guys are going to run the same line and be in the same place. In July, it's a totally different racetrack. The sun does affect it, but February it's pretty stable.
Because it's fairly cool.
It's fairly cool, you know, and no matter what, you know, even the air temperature, the track's temperature seems to be real consistent at about 70 or 80 degrees. So it's going to stay right there, and like I say, I think that's a non-issue right now with this.
Tim Steele goes for third. He gets it. That's McClure behind him in the 50 car. Harris Devane up top of the 33, and Andy Hillenberg was racing with Tim Steele, but not anymore. Steele is pulled away.
Wow. And he and Harris Devane are awfully close. That's Doug Reed in the silver car right behind them.
Man, again, he's trying to get back on the lead lap, but hasn't had the success that he would like.
That 50 car, this is a one-race deal, I think, for McClure. He might run a few more ARCA races, but the 50 car, Bobby Jones' team, is going to campaign the full Busch Grand National Series this year. And a young driver out of Alabama, Jimmy Kitchens, I think is his name. Ooh. Yeah, ooh is right.
Touch right there. Where's the 94 car?
Now,
they had to start all the way at the back.
I don't know. He must be at the back of this group.
There's Bob Shack back there.
There he is. He's running by himself.
All by himself. So he's completely out of the draft, so...
Uh-oh, they got a problem.
Done one.
A couple of cars spin through the grass, up the banking. Let's hope there's nobody back there. It's the 56 of Dill Whittemore and the 05 of Doug Reed. And boy, that could have been a lot more serious than it turned out.
Man, oh man.
Man. Third caution of the day. It comes on lap number 70.
Now, Kyle, I just know you were thinking 2 laps ago that was a wreck looking for a place to happen, right?
I was thinking about that about every other lap but 2 laps ago. I'm going to tell you that. I thought they had finally sorted themselves out and they were going to be okay, and they just barely got into the outside wall here as they come through the trioval and bounce back across the racetrack.
Roof laps work, BP.
Yeah, that's a good race car driver. Nice young man, Doug Reed, and Dill Whittemore, nice folks. Hey, they just got racing. Let's watch and see what happens.
Through the trioval they came into the straightaway leading to turn number 1.
The 05 car is okay.
Ooh, the 11 goes up. The 11 goes up, gets in the wall, and I think comes down and makes contact with the 05.
Yeah. And as we see, the 05 takes the brunt and the 11 goes on.
Yeah.
This is where it can get really scary because you're down on the apron. You have no control here. And now all of a sudden you're back up in the racing groove and there's cars coming at you.
But fortunately, nobody made contact with the 2 cars as they slid up the banking and came down the banking. Here it is once again from a different angle.
Now once again, watch the white car, the 11.
Now both of them made contact with the wall, didn't they?
2 white cars did.
Yep. Reed and Whittemore down through the grass, up the banking. Whittemore hits the wall. There was 1 car there that came pretty close, but was able to avoid the 2 disabled cars.
And lap 71. Let's watch the in-car and listen.
Dodging a bullet.
Once again, in real time, not slow motion. And that car just turned left and right under me went.
Yep. Again, And those roof flaps that popped up on both cars are a lifesaver, literally.
Yeah, I know everybody gets tired of people talking about roof flaps, but you can't say enough about them. I'm going to tell you, there's not a driver down there that hadn't experienced them coming up and been awfully glad that they did come up.
Yep. So we waited until just a few less than 10 laps to go before we had our first major crasher of the day. This one could have been a lot worse. Both drivers are okay. There are 72 laps out of 80 completed.
Carl Ravitch in our ESPN studios. UMass 22-0, trying to go 23-0. One of those 22 wins was against Temple 10 days ago. They beat them by 24 points. This time, John Calipari and John Chaney meet on UMass's home floor. Carmelo Traviation has been in a bit of a slump lately from outside. Watch number 24 back into the corner. No one gets on him, and he knocks it down. 5 of 7 from three-point range in the first half, and UMass is now rolling along. The score 30-19 in the second half. Temple continues to struggle. They couldn't score in the first game, and they're having trouble scoring in the second game. Other scores to tell you about: Wake Forest and Duke, 36-28. That game being seen on ESPN2. Iowa at home up big over Indiana, despite the fact that Kingsbury is serving the second game of his 3-game suspension. Al Geiberger by 2 over Ray Floyd. The Naples Challenge, ESPN's coverage of the senior set beginning at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Davis Cup Tennis comes up next. Mexico against the United States, but now time to go back to Daytona and more of the ARCA 200.
Thank you, Carl, and we are about to resume this race. We've completed 73 laps. They'll come down and complete lap 74 and get the green flag. And we'll have just 6 to go. Here's why we're cautioned, BP.
Yep. Once again, Andy Thurman in 11 goes up, makes contact with the wall, comes down, gets in the back of Doug Reed 05. He gets in the front of the Dill Whittemore, and spinning they go.
Both drivers okay. A lot of hitting there. There'll be some hitting on the boards tonight as ESPN presents coverage in Philadelphia. The Flyers against the Avalanche. The Flyers, of course, led by Eric Lindros and the Legion of Doom. They're defending their home territory against Patrick Waugh, Joe Sakic, and the rest of the Avalanche. That's tonight at 8 o'clock here on ESPN. Show you the top 15 drivers, and again, 8 are on the lead lap. This caution was a bit of a break for Ron Barfield.
He was out of the draft, but now he's back up on the back bumper of the 7th place car, Bob Shack. Right now we've got Glenn Miller, the 69. You saw him just briefly a moment ago, stalled on the apron of the racetrack, so we'll not be able to go green flag racing. Here's 16 through 30.
Got Glenn Miller's car, who the stop right below us here in the tower. We're going to have to get that car off the racetrack before we resume competitive speed. There you can see 31 through 42. Here's Jerry.
A minute ago, Richard Childress radioed his driver, Mike Skinner, at the head of the field, said, you know what's going to happen these last 7 laps. That guy behind you, the one car, is going to come in a hurry, and he's going to try to pass you. And Mike Skinner, being the good pupil he is, said, now what do I do about that? And Childress said, well, we brought you here to get some experience, and you're about to get some. Let's go to Bill Weber.
And he's going to get a lot of experience here because it looks like the one car may get some help. The one bunch in the 16 team of Tim Steele have been talking, and what the tentative plan is, you never know how these things work out in racing, is for Jeff Purvis and Tim Steele to team up, try and get by Skinner, then race for the win here at Daytona.
So a little strategy is being thought about now as we enter the final laps of this race. Can anyone beat Mike Skinner? Coming up on 5 laps to go in this race, still under caution, however, but the lights on top of the pace car are out. Glenn Miller's car is off of the racetrack. So it's going to be what we normally call the shootout. The last 5 laps.
Shootout at Daytona, not the OK Corral, but Daytona. And this is featuring Mike Skinner, Jeff Purvis, Tim Steele.
The blockbuster video blimp is still hovering overhead. It's based in Orlando, Florida. And when a local pilot, Terry Dillard, at the controls this afternoon, giving us these overhead shots.
You can really,
ARCA 200.
From the blimp, you can really see these 31-degree banks down in 3 and 4. Folks, see how that is 31 degrees, almost straight up and down. Looks like it is.
Sure does from here.
Yep.
Feels like it when you're out there, too.
But when you sit in the seat looking through the windshield, it doesn't look that banked. It looks fairly flat, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't feel anything. You know, the front stretch feels like it's exactly level, and it's banked some degrees.
16, I think, something like that. Okay, here comes the field off the fourth corner. Pace car ducks into the pit area. Lap number 75 about to be complete. We've got 5 laps to go. Who's going to win it? Let's see. The green comes out.
And his pit crew. Here goes Purvis on the inside, making it 3 abreast. And he has the lead.
How about that? Purvis way down to the bottom of the racetrack comes out with the lead, and here comes Tim Steele behind him. Steele pulls up alongside Mike Skinner. Headed for turn number 3. They're side by side.
That was a great move. There was just enough room for him to come off, sweep back across the racetrack, and jump out in front of everybody, and just enough to catch a good draft off the first 2 cars.
Now Tim Steele has Jeff McClure down on the inside. If he chooses to go with him, he might leave Skinner hung out to dry.
Now those 2 cars racing side by side for second are going to allow Purvis to pull away.
As fast as Purvis has been, he just needs a little bit.
Oh, Steele almost spun out.
Man, did he?
Gal, did you see that?
I close my eyes for 5 laps ago. I'm not watching this. I'm just talking.
It's a lot different up here than it is behind the wheel, isn't it?
It's a lot scarier.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot scarier up here, believe me.
There's McClure battling with Skinner. He's a little loose.
Yes, he is.
But he's got third. Well, he rubs with Mike Skinner coming down through here. Meanwhile, going to the inside is Mark Thompson in 66.
Wow, what a move by Thompson. He has moved up to third.
3 laps to go.
The 50 got really loose and got up almost into the 3, and the 3 checked up a little bit, and that allowed Thompson to go under him. And that's what you have to do at this point in time in the race. You just got to pay attention to what's going on in front of you and not ever check up. You got to stay right in the gas.
Meanwhile, Skinner in the 50 almost revving again. Harris Devane pulls up on the back.
Oh, again.
Oh.
You want to talk about a ref waiting to happen?
I'm telling you. There's the 86 car of Kelly Denton that suddenly showed its nose.
Out of Bristol, Virginia.
2 to go.
You can tell us what purpose is. Don't leave these 2 cars.
And here comes Andy Hillenberg on your left.
Did you see those guys make contact in the sheet metal, the tires rubbing the sheet metal, smoke flying, and just kept on gassing it?
At 190 miles an hour, friends. Here's Andy Hillenberg making it 3 wide into turn 3 below McClure.
Now Barfield has joined that group.
The white flag is coming out.
I'm telling you.
1 to go. Purvis Steele, meanwhile, has caught Purvis for the lead. What will Tim Steele do here on the last lap? Look at this.
Barfield to the inside.
Yep.
He gets by McClure.
Uh-oh, we got a wreck. Thurman spins. Hill is involved.
That's Dixon. Oh, there's a car over and over. Wow. Is that Bob Hill?
Bob Hill. Several times, and now we have a fire breaking out in the car. This occurs on the last lap of the race. Meanwhile, we'll walk up toward turn number 4 and find out who's going to win this thing. The wreck is over in turn number 2. Here they come for the checkered. Purvis is low, Steele high. It's going to be Jeff Purvis winning. Steele is second, then Mark Thompson, Mike Skinner, and Andy Hillenberg, the top 5. This is from our in-car camera. Look, he's trying to get out of the car.
That's the car that flipped in for in. We see him moving around. How he's going to get out?
Well, he's got the rescue crew there right now.
Take your helmet. Hook your helmet there, Bob. Your helmet's hooked up.
He's not concerned about that. Oh, it'll all rip out. as long as he can find an opening here.
What dramatic pictures here from the in-car camera that's still working after that car overturned probably, what, 8 or 9 times?
Yeah. Great
Wow.
pictures. Great pictures.
Here
There he is. There he is. Attaboy. And the rescue squad is there. They've got the fire out.
Bill Weber is with James Finch.
And I was just updating James on Bob Hill, and his condition appears to be okay, and I know you guys are happy. Congratulations. A long week for you guys getting to the checkered flag here.
Yeah, I'd like to dedicate this race to Susan Bonnet. Hopefully she's watching this race in Hueytown, and wish she was here, and I'll talk to her a little later, and we appreciate the race.
I asked you as we were getting close to the end if you were content to be in second. You said yes. Did you really mean that?
Yes, I did, but I didn't think a caution was going to come out. You know, we were gaining on him pretty good, and but when the caution come out, we didn't know if we would be able to hold him off or not. But the 33 car helped us, and so we were fortunate enough to come on around him.
That's the first of 3 races for him this weekend, huh? Not a bad start.
No, it's not. We had a good run in the Winston Cup, and hopefully our Busch car will have a good run in that. We'd like to get a top 10 in the Winston Cup. We qualified 12th. And we were hoping for a top 10, and so if we can finish in the top 10 in the Winston Cup, we feel like we've done real good, especially with no sponsor.
Okay, he wants to head on down to Victory Lane. Hey, guys, he was the coolest man down here during those last few laps. He was just sitting there. We kept smiling back and forth, and now they're going to go celebrate.
Jeff Purvis becomes a 2-time winner of the ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde 200.
Look at that eagle. Look at that paint job there, Kyle. See the eagle on that?
Yeah. It's Phoenix. It's Phoenix Racing.
Yeah.
He won also in 1993 and drives into Victory Lane to begin the season in 1996. And he's also going to run the Busch Grand National race next Saturday and the Daytona 500 next Sunday. What a dramatic last lap. But everybody appears to be okay after a multi-car and what appeared to be a horrific accident over in turn number 2. Bob Hill got out of the car and appears to be okay, and Jeff Purvis has won the race by about a car length over Tim Steele. There he is. Here's the good doctor.
And Jeff Purvis gets mobbed in Victory Lane. And Jeff, congratulations. You made it look easy those last few laps.
Well, I tell you what, Richard Childers put a real good race car out there, but this Phoenix racing team put a little bit better race car out there. I feel like we were good. We've been good all weekend, but you know, I don't know if anybody knows this, but our crew was thinking about it this morning. This is 2 years ago today that Neil Bonnet got killed here, and we all just loved him to death. We thought so much of him, and we want to dedicate this to Neil's family, Susan and David and Kristen, and we love y'all, and we miss y'all, and wish y'all were here.
Of course, Neil was driving for your car owner, James Finch. Now, today, did you have this good a car all day, or did you just save it till late in the afternoon?
I got a little bit of a break there. That last caution saved me because I just couldn't get a run on him. He was as good as I was when he was in front of me, and you know, we just had a great race car. What can you say? They worked hard on this thing. I've got 3 good race cars here. My Busch Grand National car, we're looking for big things out of it, and this, you know, my Winston Cup car, we qualified 12th here, and you know, it's just a great race team. They've worked hard. They've worked all winter, and this pays off.
You know, Skinner faded somewhat when you passed him, but then Tim Steele came out of nowhere. You had to be a little bit concerned those last couple laps when he came up there.
Tim was as fast as I was, it looked like. But there again, I mean, I've been here a lot of years, and I learned a lot through the years, and I felt like I had one move and one chance to get in the lead of this thing, and it just happened to work out that way.
You came here, didn't have an entry, and they wasn't going to give you your number when you first got here. You said, we wanted the number 1, and finally, somehow, as your car owner put it, we stole number 1, and today, again, you steal number 1.
Well, we really did. He works hard, James. James gives us good equipment to race with, and, you know, he's been great to us, but they were just playing about that number. They weren't going to take our number.
A big smile. A 2-time winner, Jeff Purvis, won it in 1993 and does it again here in 96 in the ARCA 200. Bob?
It's his 8th Super Speedway victory, and look at the inside of Bob Hill's car.
It's amazing how bad the car appears to be torn up. But if you see the way everything bent and everything went, it went away from the driver. The dash went away from the driver. The steering column went away from the driver. Car held up really, really good. I mean, you know, when you start getting up on your roof at 180, 90 miles an hour, you want something that looks like this when it's all over with.
All right, we got several replays. First from the blimp.
Harris Devane, someone got in the back of Harris Devane. And Bob Hill gets in the back of the 11, and he goes down. When he hits the apron, the car just catches on the left side, and around over he goes. Wow, he gets up in the air, doesn't he?
Sure did. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then gets hit just as he lands.
And then the fire.
And then the fire. And the fire is the scary part. You know, I think that's scarier than the flip is, because now you know that he's in there and that he could possibly be hurt and the car is on fire.
Now from this camera, which is on top of the tower, again, they were racing down into turn number 1.
Someone's going to get in the back of Harris Devane. The white car is going to get in the back of Harris Devane, and then they're going to start checking up. And the 11 car is going to move down in front of Bob Hill. He's going to hit him and run in the back. And then it just boom. And that blue car, Ed Dixon, really clobbers the wall.
Yeah. Kevin Ray back here, he slides into it, and the one car slides through, and he misses it. And I think everybody's pretty much focusing on
those pieces that are flying off the car actually are dissipating the energy, and so that, at least that much, is taken away from the driver. Now, this dramatic shot from the in-car camera. Let's watch it. Listen. And you could hear every time the car hit the ground and took another tumble.
That was awesome.
And that's something.
That's the worst sound, because as you heard the tumble, you could hear it hit, then it would get quiet. Then it would hit again, and it would get quiet. That quietness is the worst sound in the world you can ever have in a race car. When it gets quiet inside a race car, you know something bad's going on.
Boy, just look at that.
Man.
The 19 car, driven by Robert Smith, comes along and hits him to put a punctuation mark on it. But the good news is that Hill is okay. Jeff Purvis has driven to victory in the ARCA 200 here at Daytona International Speedway. So Dale Jarrett and Jeff Purvis turn out to be the winners. Here's second place, Tim Steele with Bill Weber.
And with his head cheerleaders, you want to introduce your clan here?
That's my wife, Brenda, and my daughter, Kelsey. I think they're two of my biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah, I bet your dad is, too. You just told me he pays the bill, so you let him do something. He spotted for you today.
Yeah, he was spotting for me. He done a heck of a job. But, you know, right at the beginning of the race, the car was tight. And asked the guy to loosen it up a little bit. And they done that. It was definitely loose. You know, we got there in the air, and I was sideways a few times. I thought we were back at some of these dirt tracks we raced in the ARCA circuit, but maybe that's a good thing we had some of that dirt track experience there.
They don't give assists in racing, but if they did, you'd get one today. You teamed up with the one car down the stretch.
Yeah, it was let's make a deal time. My dad and Purvis the spotter were up there, and it was like, you know, do you want to get by Skinner, or you want to race for us? Like, if we're going to do what you said you're going to do, I'll go for it, but don't give me a bad card here. No, let's do what we said, and it all worked out. You know, the guys, they all they need to all pat themselves on the back. You know, this car came down here without a lap on it. We worked on it all weekend, qualified second, finished second. You know, I think this car, we'll never see a Speedway again as far as the restrictor plate track. We're going to build a new one. We found out what we need with the new Fords, and I think we're going to be really strong come Atlanta and Talladega. Talladega, I think, will really have a good car. We learned a bunch here, and I'm looking forward to it.
Obviously, it's a big win for Jeff, but he's not running for the championship, and you are, so that's a big step today.
Yeah, just with the championship, you know, top fives. And Ernie Elliott, he built us one heck of a motor and done a super good job on that. And, you know, all those guys, I'm thankful to have those guys on board. They do a super job for us.
Hey, you've been great all week. Thanks for all your help. Congratulations today.
Thank you.
Okay, back up to you guys.
By the way, we will be there to see how he does at both Atlanta and Talladega, because those races are included on ESPN's coverage of the ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde Series. There's Bob Hill's car.
It'll roll. I thought surely they'd have to bring the car in on a roll back.
That's amazing. There's another car that'll never see a racetrack again.
Yeah, right.
I was talking about his. This one won't either. This one is. They'll learn from this car. You learn every time you have a wreck. You learn something that you can do to make the car better. But this car was perfect. It held up exactly like it's supposed to.
Peter Larson's got to be tickled to death. His camera is still working.
I'm telling you, the roof cam has been sheared off. It's history.
Oh, sorry, Peter.
But the one inside the car still works. Boy, that is unbelievable. Well, we'll show you where everybody finished here in this race today when we come back to Daytona.
Welcome, everyone, to our ESPN studios. We'll get you back out to wrap up the ARCA 200 in just a sec. John Calipari and company trying to wrap up what would be a perfect season, certainly continue on their way. 22-0, trying to get to 23, and they remove the ball. They steal the ball. Edgar Padilla, Dante Bright lays it up, lays it in. This once was a close game, and then UMass went on a 16-3 run, and since then have begun to significantly pull away in their home floor. 59-37, they are up over Temple. UMass has won their last 5 against the Owls on their home floor. Duke and Wake, Coach K, give them a T. Frustrated most of the season by Duke's inability to win the close ones. This one not so close, pretty passing. And Sean Allen finishes this with a flush in the score right now. Wake Forest up by 9 over Duke as they attempt to make a comeback game being played on ESPN2. Iowa, 5th in the conference, the winner over Indiana 76-50. They do it without Chris Kingsbury. Check the golf scoreboard right now, and remember the senior set comes your way at 5:30 Eastern on ESPN.
We're back at Daytona now. Poised to take over in the ARCA garage are these cars. These are the Busch Grand National cars. They're assembled right now on the backstretch, but as soon as the ARCA garage is vacated, they will move into that area. Jerry Punch is with third-place finisher Mike Skinner.
Well, Mike, you sat on the pole, led the most laps, did about everything you could do until 6 to go, and then it was all over.
Yeah, you know, the cautions didn't fall our way today. We had an awfully good car. You know, these guys put me in a great race car and had a good shot to win the race. If he'd stayed green, I think we'd, been in real good shape. 5 laps to go or 6 laps to go, whatever, at Daytona with a pretty slow car on the inside. Jumps pretty good there. It's not the place to be, is in the front. A good hole opened up for Jeff on the bottom, and he took the hole and liked to traded places and tried it again.
Now, we talked during the day that Richard Childress was telling you to move your car around, and you actually were messing up the air for purpose and causing some problems for his car up until that point.
Well, in the first part of the race there, what he was doing to us is what we turned around and played it on the other hand. And the Winston Cup guys came over and pitted the car. We got a great pit stop and beat him out of the pits. When we did that, it gave us the opportunity to turn the hand over, and so we did the same thing to him he was doing to us, and it was working perfect. He had the same problem. When every time I'd get a run at him, get right up under him, the car would pick up such a bad push it'd scrub the speed back off. And the same thing was happening to Jeff, and we could see it pretty clearly, and thought, this is going to be pretty good. He don't have no help right there, and we're just going to run out of laps here in a minute. But next thing you know, there was that yellow flag.
Now, last night you had a team meeting, Earnhardt, Childress, yourself, and some others. You talked about your race car, and this morning Earnhardt made a suggestion about a change in the rear.
Yeah, Dale thought we should put a little door split in the back, and he's raced here a heck of a lot more than I have, so I listened to him, and we did it, and the car was hooked up. The car was great. The closer that they'd get behind us, the better that car was, and it never, it never tried to get loose. It just got real neutral, and if you can do that with these big blades right here, when they get the air off of them, the car's still hooked up real good, you're in good shape. The bad side to that coin is when you're second and you're following them, your car pushes. So it was a good call. I want to thank him. He gave me a lot of help down here this week, and him and Jeff Gordon's Racing for Kids magazine give us a little sponsor help, and Racing Champions, and a lot of folks put in a lot of time on this deal, and I really appreciate it.
Mike, congratulations on a great run finishing third. Let me move over here to your left, and Doug Reed's a young man, 21-year-old from Hewitton, Alabama, and Doug, you took a wild ride up there. First of all, good to see you're okay.
Yes, sir. I want to thank the Lord that I'm all right. We had a real good run going. We had a fast car. Got held up a little bit in the pits and got in some real tight draft there. And I think somebody pushed up into the wall and come down into it, started something, and kind of got turned around, went through the grass. I was hoping I could keep it back off the racetrack, but couldn't do it, and I think I collected a couple other cars. I'm just glad and thank the Lord everybody's all right, and we had a real good race car today.
Hardest you've ever hit?
Oh, no, sir, it wasn't that bad.
Oh, it looked bad, but he can smile. Man, I think that would have to hurt, right, Benny?
Well, yeah.
I'll bet it does.
But it really truly wasn't as bad as it was scary. I'm sure that he was terrified as he was going backwards about 160 miles an hour. Now, this is not the wreck that he was involved in.
Right. This is the other one.
This is the other wreck. And what's the red car? What's... Yow! Add insult to injury, Rob Smith comes along and hits him while he's almost stopped. What happens is Kelly Denton in the white car, the second white car, is going to get in the back of Harris Devane. So he's going to check up. He's going to have to hit the brakes. The 11 car moves down to miss him right in the path of Bob Hill in 46. Ed Dixon in the blue 51 clobbers the wall head on.
All drivers are okay, and here's the in-car shot. Listen to this. You can count all 7 of them.
So he's on the phone with her in Iowa right now? Okay, we're headed to the care center. Thank you.
Well, folks, we were watching the crashing on the racetrack, and we had a crash of our own. We lost power here at Daytona because, apparently, of this balloon that got into some power lines, but I think everything is okay. You all right, Benny?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine.
Kyle, you all right?
Doing good. Doing fine now.
I'm not going to mention Bondo anymore.
Boy, that was scary. Everything just went black for a while. Anyway, here's Bill Weber with Andy Hillenberg.
Okay, Andy, you told me you had a fourth place car today, and that's where you came home.
Yeah, you know, we can't be disappointed. We try to win every race, but you know it's not going to happen. And today wasn't our day. We ended up fourth, ran third there most of the race. There they had that caution late, and it really bunched things up. I wouldn't want to brag about a few of the guys driving out there. I was a little disappointed, you know, caused a couple wrecks out there that were, you know, I seen them coming and just barely got by, and then they wrecked right behind me both times. And so we were pretty lucky to get out of there in one piece after getting shuffled to the back on that end. It seems like at defending champion tag, you know, you don't have as many friends as you used to when it gets to the end. But that's all right. We'll go to work on that and, you know, be back here Saturday in that AC Delco Chevrolet.
That's your next stop?
Yeah, Busch Race Saturday.
Okay, and he stayed with us through the commercial. He wanted to make sure the grandparents could see the whole family, guys. But he had a pretty good finish down here today, and we'll see him next weekend.
Well, the former sprint car driver from Indiana showed well again today here. Didn't defend successfully the race championship, but he finished in 4th position. Andy Hillenberg. We'll be right back. Coming up next here on ESPN, the Davis Cup tennis from Carlsbad, California. Michael Chang against Alejandro Hernandez from Mexico. And on the Deuce, ESPN, stay tuned for NASCAR Today with Dave Despain, and we will be here with continuing programming on ESPN until 5 o'clock this afternoon. So after NASCAR Today, we'll all be back for another hour. Let's take a look at the full field rundown of our race just concluded here this afternoon at Daytona. Jeff Purvis won his 8th Super Speedway event. That ties him at the top of the list with Grant Adcox and Jimmy Horton, and 8 cars finished on the lead lap. Let's take a look now at 16 through 30.
Mark Gibson, we didn't mention him. He finished in 16th. Ed Dixon, who hit the wall so hard in car 51, credited with 17th. Gary Weinbroer in 20th. And there is the remaining 12 cars. Dale Crowder, the first car out of the competition today.
Let's go down to Jerry Punch, who was with somebody that we are very glad to see. Jerry.
Bob, incredible. This man walked out of the care center, a big smile on his face. And Bob Hill, first of all, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm starting to get a headache, but I'm okay.
Now, you went in the care center and sat down on the table. I'm told you were able to watch the replays. Did it feel as bad as it looked?
Believe it or not, it felt worse than it looked. I mean, when it hits hard. And I was just wishing it would hurry up and be over, and you know, that we'd come out of it okay. And you know, these cars are pretty safe. I've seen guys do that, and you wonder how they can come out of it. But I think I'm just going to be pretty sore, but I'm all right.
Now, we had the in-car camera. Incredibly, it kept running as you did, thankfully, during that whole circus, and the car began to somersault, and we counted 7 times it flipped. And then the car come to a rest. What actually happened out there? How did it all start?
Well, I believe that was a white flag lap, and our car wasn't working that well all day, and we were just going to try to stay on the bottom and ride it on to the end, and a bunch of them just started getting together in front of me, and I got on the brakes and got into the 11 car and turned him sideways. Somebody ran into me, turned me sideways. I think my car got backwards, and then them big spoilers we got on the back there just lifted it up, and away we went.
Had to be a little spooky climbing out of the car, too. We had a camera inside watching you trying to find a way out.
Well, it was all busted up, and I unlatched the window net, and I couldn't get it unhooked from the other end, and I was trying to bend it, and they told me, I still had my radio on, and they told me it's on fire, and you know, then I seen the fire extinguishers go, that the safety crew was there, and you know, got it out, and I finally, you know, jumped on out of there. But everything's pretty jagged and tore up, and the car's a mess. But, you know, I just thank God that we're all right, and everybody else is.
First time you ever been on your head?
That's the first time I've ever tipped a race car over. This is my 21st season, so I guess I've been lucky.
And, guys, the very first thing he did when he got to the care center, he watched the replay one time and then got on the phone, called Story City, Iowa, and called his wife, Jane, and said, honey, I'm okay.
Well, we are certainly glad to see him able to walk away from that thing, because it was a scary, scary accident. We will wrap up the story we've been following since Wednesday, that of Shane Doles, when we come back. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. The ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde 200 is over. We do have some IROC cars that are out there on the racetrack dialing in, getting prepared for their race coming up this Friday. Let's go to Bill Weber and put a period on the saga of Shane Doles.
Okay, well, congratulations on your top 30 finish. I've never met a more optimistic person in my life, and you're certainly one. That had to be heartbreak at the start.
It was. I mean, really, the guys worked so hard all week to get the car back together, and I look over and they said, did the right window blow out the car? And I look over and I said, yeah, it's out. So they go to hunting stuff and just can't find enough stuff to get it back in quick enough. But they got it done, and we made the race. But the car was, that right side was still messed up pretty bad, and it just never was back to where it should be. But hey, we got it in there and did the best we could with what we had.
You're a prince. Thanks for everything. I hope we see you at Atlanta. I know you're looking for some sponsorship, so we'll look for Shane Doles and the rest of his group when we get there. Back up to you guys.
Well, the story is over, huh?
Do you see the blonde man and woman standing behind Shane Doles? I met them this week. They're from England.
Oh, yeah?
And they are absolute fanatics for Winston Cup racing.
I'll be darned. There's one of the IROC cars out there on the racetrack. They have about 90 minutes of opportunity to continue to get those cars dialed in. And we will be back, of course, tomorrow on ESPN2 as the unprecedented coverage here at Daytona continues. Busch Grand National practice at 11 o'clock tomorrow. 1 o'clock, second round NASCAR Winston Cup qualifying. Then the Goodies Dash Series moved onto the track for some practice at 3 o'clock along with the IROC cars.
Yeah, we all kinds of work down here, folks. If it moves, we're covering it during speed weeks.
And again, we want you to stick around on both networks. If you like tennis, stay with ESPN because we have the Davis Cup finals from Carlsbad, California. And if you like more racing, why stick around on ESPN2 because Dave Despain will have NASCAR today, and we'll all join in and help him, and we'll be on the air until 5 o'clock this afternoon with whatever else happens here at Daytona. Kyle, thanks for joining. It's been a pleasure to work with you again.
I've enjoyed it, man. You guys work more than I do. I'm looking at the schedule. I probably got one practice tomorrow, and you guys work all day.
See the new grandstands, folks. Been wanting tickets for the Daytona 500. Couldn't get them. They're building new seats. Be ready next year.
What's the assessment toward winning the Daytona 500? You got a shot at this thing?
Right now, you've got as good a shot as anybody, and that's what we were sitting here talking about. I think the Fords and the Chevys are pretty close to each other. The Pontiacs, we're catching them. We're getting there. You know, I think Rick Mast and some of those guys are good, but there's 3 or 4 Chevys that are good. There's 3 or 4 Fords that are good, and everybody else is going to be struggling along.
Congratulations to Jeff Purvis, who has won the ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde 200 here this afternoon. My thanks to Benny and Kyle and Bill and Jerry and everybody for their help on this show. And we thank you for joining us here at Daytona International Speedway, and we will see you with continuing coverage on ESPN2. Now let's go to the ESPN studios and Carl Ravage. Carl, it is all yours.